The Master of Mary of Burgundy rejuvenated the illuminators at the time with his unique original style, yet his lack of identity has been a subject of discussion among scholars. The master's work, the Book of Hours for Mary of Burgundy, was unique because he used a technique which made the scenes that were in the distance of his work the main story, and the images in the foreground introductions to these stories, which was innovative during this period of time. Here is some background information on the Master of Mary of Burgundy and artistic emancipation that occurred in Ghent. Probably the most talented and inventive of South Netherlandish illuminators, he was deeply influenced by Hugo van der Goes. He inspired devotional portraits. Many scholars have studied the master's works and examined them with different approaches. These include the biographical and stylistic approaches. The biographical approach is basically linking his works with other illuminators at the time to figure out possible overlaps. Otto Pocht was a scholar who did this, and named Alexander Bening as a possible candidate. The stylistic approach is taking the details of the master's work and reviewing his style. Pocht and several other scholars noted his unique use of borders to separate different scenes. Here you can see the master's use of borders in his style. Pocht describes the master's borders as representing a transitional stage between the old and new style. Pocht explains that two of the miniatures in the Book of Hours deserve special attention, especially because they hold an important position in the genesis of the new Flemish style of illumination. The Book of Hours was originally given to Charles the Bold from the Bruges town council, but then it was later given to his daughter Mary of Burgundy. The first of the two miniatures shows a lady, the Mary of Burgundy, sitting by a window which opens into a church choir and reading the Book of Hours. This is an example of a devotional portrait. Pocht explains, to see this miniature in its proper historical perspective, we have to go back to John van Eyck's Roland Madonna, which we see here on the right. This image contains a picture within a picture, the close-up and distant view both being connected in the perception by the spectator. Pocht discusses that, similar to the Roland Madonna, the miniature is dominated by the contrast between chiaroscuro in the painting, in the framing picture, and the light tone of the framed view. The contrast also between microscopic naturalism of the former and the more summary treatment and coloristic appearance of the latter. Pocht discusses how the Master of Mary of Burgundy decreased the ranks of the border and made the distance seen through the window the main story, while it illustrates the text, and the images in the foreground are an introduction to the main story. This scene is presented as a view from a window. Mary of Burgundy, who was reading the book and was present in the last miniature, has disappeared, and the still life images are what is left, objects of stone and inanimate objects. Pocht describes these objects of stone representing the prefigurations of the crucifixion. The master uses a huge cast in the scenes of the Passion. He created the illusion of the existence of many people at sacred events. These are the two miniatures seen together. The frames and the borders are very similar. Alexander Bening was an illuminator whose works showed similarities to the master's. He was part of the Ghent Bruges school, and their style often overlapped with the master's. According to Van Buren and Pocht, deeply influenced by the leading painters from Ghent, especially Hugo van der Goes, the master introduced to the pages of books a new subtlety and richness in the depiction of light and color, and an emotional expressiveness rivaled only by the art of van der Goes. The art of the Ghent Brugge school originated in his illumination, and his iconographic and formal innovations remained influential for several generations. His fascinating works and identity still remain a topic of discussion among scholars today.